County Sheriff's Department, DeWitt Township Police Department, DeWitt Area Fire, DAAIA, which is the Mexican version of the FAA, Eaton Area Ambulance, the Federal Aviation Administration, the Lanesburg Police Department, and the Lanesburg Fire Department, the Michigan Department of National Resources, the Michigan State Police, and the National Transportation Safety Board. As you can see, this was a team effort. We received other support from the Mexican Consulate in Detroit, University of Michigan Health, Sparrow, and Spagnolo's Party Store, who donated pizza and drinks for our first responders. I also want to thank the federal workers who showed up to help and who are not currently being paid because of the federal shutdown. They are out on the scene right now investigating, and they are not receiving a paycheck. We could not get support from the public relations offices of the federal government because the federal government is shut down. I would encourage Congress and the president to reopen the federal government so that communities like ours
He said, my name is Mark Corner. I'm the newly appointed fire chief here in Leesburg. This is my first with Bath Township, and certainly a challenge to kick off my next career. I'm just going to talk very briefly about the fire side, fire EMS side, and our response, and what we had to go through on some of the challenges, right? The biggest challenge was the location of the crash site itself. It's a very wooded, very secluded area. The significant distance off the road. It's not accessible by even four-wheel drive trucks. We actually had to use saws and manpower to blaze a trail all the way back to even access the site itself. So it was a significant challenge even getting to where we could help anyone. The terrain, obviously, it was brushy, it was wooded, there was limited visibility. All significant challenges that we would never normally face. When the call came out, obviously, coming from Bath Township, it's not something that you expect to come over the pager or over your phone, right? The plane crash, and that immediately heightens the anxiety level with all of our first responders, and it immediately adds to a level of trauma that they're going to deal with for the rest of this call and for the next future. Some of that is some of the priorities that we established almost immediately was trying to find victims. Once we get to the site, our first priority was trying to find any possibility of any viable victims to render first aid and life-saving techniques. Unfortunately, that was not the case, which quickly turned to trying to find the victims that there was, again, some significant challenges with that. And to search the entire area, they're not immediately, it wasn't like a car accident where we're at, we had searched quite an area. And that also adds to the trauma of what our first responders would be going through. Once we did, we were able to locate all three victims. Then our priorities kind of shifted to mitigating the incident and take care of the fire and the spread of the fire and preserving the evidence, which is going to be vitally important for the investigation that should come at the access to the site to get that fire out, though, was obviously a challenge. We could get through some very aggressive maneuvering, we got trucks probably a third of the way back, and we still like close to a half a mile of hose to be able to get down and get water. And that, if you think about the physical aspect and the physical demands that we're asking of our first responders to do that, actually they've already spent time searching for victims and preparing themselves mentally to render life-saving techniques to possible victims. Now we're asking them to physically exert themselves to stretch line that kind of distance. That's a huge undertaking that I cannot say enough good things about our first responders, and not just bad ones, but the other firefighters and the that were on scene. We were asking a lot of the personnel that were there, and they responded incredibly. But I could have ever expected, and that makes my job significantly easier, and certainly a positive aspect for my future career here at BAT. To be able to see their capabilities, it was truly impressive. As we got the fire extinguished and that seemed really under control, our next shift of focus really moved to helping the ME and through Sparrow in recovering the bodies and still preserving evidence as it needed to be for these investigations that are obviously going to take a while. Again, that assistance, though needed, is also another very traumatic experience for first responders to deal with removing these victims in a dignified manner, and that some of the things that these people have seen are not to be taken lightly. Again, I can't say enough for the professionalism and the physical work that they put in to be able to do that. It was another very, very positive aspect on my end to see them be able to do that. More and more, I continue to ask of them to step up and not be more impressed. Once the victims were removed, our shift was really scene security and shifting more to the police department. Once we could get back to the station and regroup and start assembling all of our equipment, because in all honesty, we had to be prepared to respond to the next call, which by chance, as we were assembling all of our gear and cleaning out all the equipment, we were immediately phoned out for another structure fire. So again, that keeps compounding on the mental fatigue and the physical demands that we're asking of our people. But eventually, we get everybody back to the station, and now our priority is caring for those first responders, making sure that we're taking care of their mental health, making sure that they're going to continue to thrive moving forward and continue to serve the community. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Matt, and you guys can ask questions to me.
Thank you, Chief Grant Mardigan, Bath Township Police Department. On Thursday, our officers received a 911 call of a plane crash. The location was vague. Our officers, one of the first on scene, they located the site and immediately went into search and rescue operations along with the fire department. As Chief Kunter explained, there was an extensive operation to get that fire out. Once everything was under control, the operation switched to scene security for the FFA and the NTS. And we've been on scene along with some partners helping us provide that scene security since Thursday. Operations are still going on there as far as investigation and cleanup. Hopefully that should be concluded soon. But we've had officers on the ground with the help of Michigan Department of Natural Resources, of the Clinton County Emergency Management, Clinton County Mounted Division, as well as the Bath Township.
Next, I'd like to introduce Michelle Fox from the Medical Examiner's Office at University of Michigan Health Sparrow.
My name is Michelle Fox. I'm the Chief Investigator with the Office of Medical Examiner serving Clinton County. On the afternoon of October 16th, the Clinton County Medical Examiner's Office notified of fatalities from a jet airplane crash by Clinton County Central Dispatch in Peacock Township. Myself and investigators of our mass fatality team responded to the scene and initiated an investigation in conjunction with local, state, and federal investigative agencies. The bodies of 3 individuals were recovered from the crash site and transported to the medical examiner's office at the University of Michigan Health Sparrow in Lansing, Michigan. Post-mortem examinations on all 3 individuals were conducted on October 17th, 2025. Due to the nature of the injuries each individual sustained, the medical examiner's office is currently in the process of identifying each individual. The families of all 3 individuals reported to have been on the airplane at the time of the crash have been notified of their deaths. All 3 individuals were citizens of Mexico. Based on information provided by the Consulate of Mexico in Detroit, the individuals have been presumptively identified as Francisco Javier Del Morel Jimenez, Rodolfo Pimentel Zamora, and Alvaro Espejo Rodriguez. The Clinton County Medical Examiner's Office extends our condolences to the families, friends, and colleagues of all 3 souls who died in this tragic accident and express our gratitude to the local law enforcement agencies, fire department partners, Consulate of Mexico in Detroit, the National Transportation Safety Board, and the Federal Aviation Administration for the assistance in this incident. We are grateful for all of their assistance in the recovery of these individuals at the scene and all their assistance after in helping to identify them. And I'll turn it back over to Brian.
Before we take questions, I want to again thank the first responders. Superintendent Karen Lobranch and I went out to the scene the night of, and the professionalism, the dedication, the sweat and blood and tears, and it was an incredible sight. We're really, really proud of both the men and the women of our forces and our neighboring forces who came out to help us as well. I returned to the scene this afternoon to see it in a different light, and it is a shocking scene. It is a plane crash. It's rough. So we really want to thank those first responders for their just dedication and the guts to do this job. And thanks to the Bath Township voters as well. Last year, they approved an increase to our public safety millage. This is exactly what that tax money goes to pay for, a response like this: professional, dedicated, and well-run. We've been told that next steps in this investigation will move beyond Bath Township. Our role in this is coming to an end. The NTSB will take the pieces of the plane to their site to continue the investigation. Within 14 days, we should get a preliminary report on what happened, but a full report won't be issued for a full 12 to 18 months. So this investigation will take a while. With that, I will invite questions from the press.
So that those people on the plane that passed away, they were all from Mexico, even the pilot as well?
We understand that there were 2 pilots and 1 maintenance worker, and they are all Mexican citizens. That is what the Mexican Consulate has told us.
And that plane was doing maintenance in Battle Creek, Michigan?
That's what we understand. Other questions?
Ages on the 3 victims?
We're currently trying to secure the date of birth because there's an international aspect to this and somewhat a language barrier. We're trying to take some extra time to make sure we have that information right before we send it out. In the packet that will be distributed to the media afterward, we will see a place of birth for each of those folks, but we don't have the date of birth secured yet.
Can you confirm the name of the company?
I can't, no. I don't have that information. I know other folks have reported that. I don't want to state anything I haven't been given by official folks.
Do you have any confirmation of when the plane left the airport and when the crash actually occurred?
I don't. Do any of our folks have that? No?
No, I think the time of the call that shortly after 5 o'clock for us. But as far as the definite and exact time of the accident, not able to do that.
Our investigation has really centered on what's happening in Bath Township and the site. Our friends from the Federal Aviation Administration and NTSB will take care of where is the flight from and going in those pieces. I expect that to be part of the preliminary report we'll see within 2 weeks. Other questions?
What was around the area where the plane crashed? What was kind of around it? Did it impact anyone, any neighbors or any businesses?
I'll ask Chief Butcher to answer that.
This is a very remote wooded area. There was no homes. It was no occupancies in that area, but that just added to the difficulties and the hurdles that they had to experience getting to that. Very wooded, very thick, limited visibility because of that part of the woods was so thick, but no other residents.
Rose Lake is really a gem in our community. It is a beautiful wooded area that is, folks take walks there, folks hunt there. There's a shooting range there. We're really proud to have that as part of our community. It's a shame that this happened in such a beautiful area. Other questions? Taylor, anything from Facebook?
Not at this time.
Are you guys aware of any potential environmental impacts to the location of the crash?
We are. Again, I'll turn that over to Chief Butcher.
A report has been filed with Eagle. A brief report has been filed. They've been notified. They've been out to the site, and they have a plan on mitigating any of the cleanup.
You see what's up there.
Oh,
Okay. Other questions?
I'm just gonna ask one real quick, if you can't answer, I completely understand. I know you guys said you're focusing mainly on Bath Township and recovery from that, but have you been in contact with the families of the people?
I've been in contact with 2 of the families because they saw my name on the press release. So they called to talk to me. Very, tough conversations. And I know our medical examiner and the Consulate of Mexico have been working very closely with those families. Again, they've all been notified and understand the situation as much as we can.
Did the victims most likely die because of crash trauma, or is it a possibility that something happened that rendered them incapacitated before that?
The medical examiner answer that?
It's currently still pending. The autopsy was completed on Friday. So the medical examiner is still working through toxicology, histology, and through the autopsy itself. So that takes some time. But again, still working through the identification, usually about 8 weeks before we have everything completed, our final autopsy report and looking into the result.
Thank you, Michelle. Again, I'll remind folks that these are presumptive identifications. We do have to wait for the DNA results, which will take several weeks. These are the folks that we believe based on our partners at the Mexican Consulate. Other questions? Do a last call. Anything, Taylor? All right, we appreciate you covering Bath Township. Hopefully we'll invite the media back out for something special and positive in the future. We have packets that we'll hand you out at the door for media that's watching live. Please email my email address to receive the packet. And again, thanks for coming out. Have a great rest of your weekend.